It has been a politically eventful day as the UML-led Sudhir Paschim government crashed in the face of its outgoing Chief Minister Rajendra Rawal failing to clear the floor test. The scenario has highlighted the growing disputes among the ruling parties as the Chief Minister Rawal failed to gain the decisive votes from Nagarik Unmukti Party. The development in the country's extreme west is being seen as the beginning of political instability at the center as well. Good evening, I am Prarambha Dahal. Let's begin with the main stories. Kamal Bahadur Shah of Nepali Congress appointed Sudhir Paschim Chief Minister as UML-led government crashes. Unstable provinces might take their toll at the center. The government gears up to amend 18 laws related to anti-money laundering. The decision prompted by the fear of Nepal being listed in the grey zone of Financial Action Task Force. Death toll from the devastating earthquake in Turkey and Syria crosses 19,000. Moments of joy amid despair as a number of children rescued out of the rubble. And host Bangladesh thump Nepal 3-0 to clinch the SAF Under-20 Women's Championship. Samsunuhar Jr. of Bangladesh declared the most valuable player. Rajendra Singh Rawal, who failed to win the vote of confidence, has been relieved of his position as the Chief Minister of Sudhir Paschim Province. Now, following the expulsion of Rawal, Kamal Bahadur Shah of the largest party of the Provincial Assembly, Nepali Congress, has been appointed the new Chief Minister. Rawal lost his position of Chief Minister after his proposal seeking vote of confidence was rejected because of the absence of Provincial Assembly members of Nagarik Unmukti, the party which earlier had supported his appointment. Based on the constitutional provision, a trust vote must be obtained within 30 days of appointment. However, Rawal's proposal was rejected by the majority at today's session of the Sudhir Paschim Provincial Assembly. The Sudhir Paschim government crashed after the ruling coalition was not prepared to release Resham Chaudhary among other members of Nagarik Unmukti Party. After failing to generate the trust vote, Rawal tendered his resignation to the province governor today itself. Meanwhile, following the expulsion of UML's Rawal, Province Governor Devraj Joshi appointed the leader of the largest party of the Provincial Assembly, Nepali Congress, Kamal Bahadur Shah, as the province chief minister. Shah will also have to secure a vote of confidence within 30 days. Nepali Congress, which had remained out of federal and provincial government after the November 20th provincial and parliamentary elections, has made a swift return to power from Sudhir Paschim. In the 53-member Sudhir Paschim Provincial Assembly, Nepali Congress has 19 members, with 10 each of CPN Maoist Center and CPN UML, 7 from Nagarik Unmukti Party, 4 of CPN Unified Socialist, 1 from Rashtriya Prajatantra Party, and 1 independent member. Previously, Rawal was appointed the Chief Minister on January 11 with the support of members from CPN Maoist Center, CPN UML, Nagarik Unmukti, and Rashtriya Prajatantra Party. Now, the 7-party ruling coalition is caught in a precarious situation following the collapse of Sudhir Paschim province government. With the Nagarik Unmukti Party refraining from extending the vote of confidence, Rajendra Singh Rawal, who was appointed the province chief minister from CPN UML, has been relieved of his duties in less than 30 days since his appointment. The impact of the latest political development is now likely to be seen in the federal government as well. The development in the country's extreme west is being seen as the beginning of yet another political instability at the center. Nagarik Unmukti Party, which had supported Rajendra Singh Rawal for his appointment as the Sudhir Paschim Chief Minister, did not extend the vote of confidence today. The incident has brought to fore the dwindling trust among the ruling coalition partners. Nagarik Unmukti had decided against extending the vote of confidence as they remained firm in their demand for the release of their leader, Resham Chaudhary, among others. However, any political bargaining for the release of Chaudhary, who is serving a life sentence for his involvement in Kailali massacre, is unlikely. Barring Sudhir Paschim, chief ministers of all other provinces have already garnered the vote of confidence. However, Lumini province government is yet to gain a full shape, while dispute persists in the formation of the provincial committees in Bagmati. Province 1 is yet to name the province, and the procedure for the same is likely to bring in further division among the parties. The province governments spent much of the previous term under the pressure from the federal government, which did not aid in formulation of necessary laws for the efficient performance of the provinces. Federalism experts are of the opinion that the provinces will not be able to operate as independent entities until the federal government changes its approach. All three tiers of the government have been allocated their jurisdictions by the Constitution of Nepal. However, the provinces have not been able to establish their capacity to make decisions without the directives from the federal government. This has led to issues that could be resolved by provinces being tampered by the federal government, as such situations are also likely to bring in more instability. Meeting of the high-level political mechanism was postponed amid widening rift among the parties of the ruling coalition. The meeting scheduled for today was called off after Prime Minister Pushpa Dahal and coordinator of the mechanism, CPNML Chair KP Sharma Oli, held talks among themselves. A meeting of the mechanism was slated for today following yesterday's parley between Prime Minister Dahal and UML Chair Oli. However, only Dahal and Oli held talks today. Despite the duo delving into topics including the presidential election and Sudhir Paschim government, the mechanism's meeting was not held as they failed to reach a conclusion. However, leaders from both the parties have not identified the exact reason for the failure in holding a parley today. According to Prime Minister Dahal, the mechanism's meeting will be held tomorrow. Rashtriya Swatantra Party, a member of the ruling coalition, has quit the federal government, while another coalition member, Nagarik Unmukti Party, did not extend the trust vote, which led to the downfall of Sudhir Paschim government. Rashtriya Swatantra Party has also been demanding a meeting of the mechanism. However, Oli and Dahal have only been talking among themselves. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Dahal met with Nepali Congress General Secretary Gagan Thapa earlier this morning. The meeting held at the official residence of the Prime Minister in Balotar is understood to have delved into the presidential candidate. Now, CPNUML has concluded that it could be difficult to sustain the ruling coalition. A meeting of the UML Secretariat held at the party office in Chasal said that it was getting all the more difficult to sustain the ruling coalition. The meeting has also decided to save the coalition to address the increasing frustration among the public and to give the national politics a desired outlet. At the meeting, UML members said that efforts were underway to include Janata Samajwadi Party and Nagarik Unmukti in the government. They have said that issues of the coalition would be discussed at tomorrow's meeting of the high-level political mechanism. The government has geared up to amend 18 laws after the risk of Nepal being listed as a high-risk country by the Financial Action Task Force, or the FATF, which is a global watchdog against money laundering and terrorist financing. The initiative has been taken as Nepal is likely to be included in the grey zone of Financial Action Task Force amid increasing corruption and illegal financing from foreign countries. The Ministry of Law has geared up to amend a number of acts related to renewal of anti-money laundering and commercial market strengthening. The government has shown readiness to amend the concerned laws after the audit conducted by the FATF in the Asia-Pacific region in September last year exhibited risk of Nepal being included in the high-risk countries. The FATF has concluded that Nepal lacks clear laws related to money laundering and that the existing laws have not been implemented as well. The government had made efforts to amend these laws back in September, which failed due to interest groups. The government has made preparations to incorporate issues like maintenance of transparency in clearance of export-import in the legal draft, regulating and maintaining transparency in real estate market, among others. Likewise, the government has also geared up to amend Tourism Act to regulate casinos, regulation and supervision of banks, commercial sector and finances, and provision to jointly conduct investigation on offences related to security paper by Security Board and police, among others. It is now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. Public Pulse. Before we ask today's question, let us take a look at the result from yesterday's poll. Yesterday we had asked, why have expensive health equipment remained unused? 55% were for A, procurement without plans, 41% were for B, lack of human resource, and 4% were for C, equipment not needed. And here is our today's question. What could be the reason for the repeated disputes emerging between traffic police and transport workers? Your options are A, mentality of breaching laws, B, dominant traffic police, and C, legal confusions. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. It is now time for a short break, but for more news, do stay with us. With half of the fiscal year already completed, only 17% of the capital budget has been spent. Expenditure in national pride projects is even lower as their spending capacity is in a sorry state. Meeting of the committee formed to find solutions to national issues has not been held since September of 2021. Even in such a situation, the National Planning Commission, tasked with the responsibility of assessing and recommending plans and policies for national development, has remained a mere spectator. Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal appointed economist Min Bahadur Shrestha as the National Planning Commission Vice Chairperson on January 23. The state operators are of the opinion that appointment of Shrestha, who had served in the same capacity before as well, would ease in formulation and implementation of development plans. However, the National Planning Commission, which also has the jurisdiction of monitoring projects, has been limited to setting the ceiling of budget for ministries and formulating periodic plans. Despite the development and construction works across the nation remaining stranded, the Commission has remained indifferent. The National Development Problem-Solving Committee, chaired by the Prime Minister, was formed to find solutions to hurdles in development works. However, the last meeting of the NAT was held in September of 2021. The committee is to conclude on topics including expediting national pride projects and model for establishment of a factory for chemical fertilizers. The National Planning Commission is also tasked with the responsibility of monitoring and assessing the projects before furnishing recommendations to the government. But in absence of required monitoring, investment requirement of national pride projects have increased from 1 trillion rupees to 2.5 trillion rupees. In addition to that, targets of periodic projects have not been met as well. It remains to be seen if the new officials at the Commission will prove the essence of existence of the entity or not. In our Public Voice segment today, we have asked in all 7 provinces what they think is important to consider while receiving loans from banking and financial institutions. Let us now take a look at what they had to say.
Public Voice.
स्रोत हेर्नु पर्यो त्यो अनुसारको ऋण लिनु पर्यो
आफ्नो आवश्यकता अनुसार हैन आफुलाई के कति रकम चाहिएको छ त्यो अनुसारको चाहिँ एस्टिमेट गरेर त्यो अनुसारको चाहिँ ऋण लिने
जुन उद्देश्यले हामीले लोन लिन्छौं त्यही उद्देश्यमा लगानी गर्नुपर्छ
पहिला एकदम सोधपुछ गर्ने ब्याज कति छ के छ एकदम बुझेर
नेपाल सरकारले तोकेको जस्तो त्यति नै ब्याज हुनुपर्छ
आफूले तिर्न सक्ने रिक्वायरमेन्ट छ कि छैन सबै बुझेर चाहिँ लिनुपर्ने हुन्छ
अन्यत्र लगानी गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ धेरै ऋणीहरु चाहिँ अप्ठ्यारोमा परेको महसुस हामीले गरेका छौं
कुन क्षेत्रमा लगानी गर्ने हो भन्ने कुरामा ध्यान दिनुपर्छ
आफूले तिर्न सकिन्छ कि सकिदैन भन्ने कुरामा ध्यान दिनुपर्छ
ऋणलाई चाहिँ उत्पादन क्षेत्रमा चाहिँ लगानी गर्नुपर्दछ
हामीले ऋण लिँदा अब त्यहाँ के सम्झौता गरिएको छन् ती सम्झौताहरु राम्ररी पढ्ने
Time now for the international news. The death toll from earthquakes that struck Turkey and Syria this week has crossed the grim mark of 19,000 today, as hopes faded of many people being found alive 72 hours since the disaster, and frustration simmered over the slow aid delivery. A Turkish official said the disaster posed very serious difficulties for the holding of an election scheduled for May 14, in which President Tayyip Erdogan has been expected to face the toughest challenge in his 2 decades in power. On the ground, many people in Turkey and Syria spent a third night sleeping outside or in cars in freezing winter temperatures, their homes destroyed or so shaken by the quakes they were too afraid to re-enter. Hundreds of thousands of people have been left homeless in the middle of winter. The number of people killed by the quake, which struck in the dead of night and was followed by powerful aftershocks, is on course to be larger than in 1999, when a similarly powerful tremor killed 17,000 people in Turkey's more densely populated northwest. The death toll in Turkey jumped to over 15,000 by Thursday morning. In Syria, already devastated by nearly 12 years of civil war, more than 5,000 people have died, according to the government and a rescue service in the rebel-held northwest. In Syria, relief efforts are complicated by the conflict that has partitioned the nation and wrecked its infrastructure. There are defining moments in life, and particularly when the natural disasters struck. People are helpless in such situations, but there are cases uncommon when victims still survive or rescue in the aftermath of disasters. These are interesting pictures of children rescued in Monday's Turkey-Syria earthquake. Here is a glimpse of rescue efforts and a dear life and death situation of kids in the rubble. A young Syrian boy smiled and started to play with rescue workers who pulled him from the rubble of a building on Monday. The video shared by the White Helmets showed the rescuers cheering, happy to see Karam, and laughing along with him. Video footage released on Wednesday by the Istanbul Fire Department showed its rescue workers pulling a young girl from the rubble in Hatay, Turkey, in the aftermath of a deadly earthquake. The girl, identified as 5-year-old Yasmin, held onto a railing as a rescue worker pulled her free from debris in a staircase. On Monday night, the rescue service from Syria's northern rebel-held territory cut through metal to reach a young girl. Bystanders shouted Allahu Akbar, which means God is greatest, as she was brought to safety. 2 more children were found alive under the rubble on Tuesday. Young Syrian boy Ahmed was rescued by members of the White Helmets in Syria's Zandaris on Wednesday, 2 days after an earthquake devastated both Turkey and Syria. Sliding their bodies through piles of rubble, members of the White Helmets also used shovels, a bulldozer and their bare hands to remove rocks and debris from demolished buildings, looking for survivors. In a video the group posted on social media, a member was heard calling out to Ahmed, asking him to extend his leg or hold out his arms for rescuers to grab hold. Ahmed was safely evacuated and taken to hospital for medical aid. In addition to that, another young girl was shuttled in an ambulance to a nearby hospital. Volunteers from Syria's White Helmets sang to a little girl on Tuesday as they rescued her from the rubble of her house near Idlib. Rescuers sang the young girl's name, Sham, as they attempted to free her. We have more news coming up, but right now it is time for yet another short break. Time now for the sports news.
Sports news.
Team Nepal have been limited to the second position at the SAF Under-20 Women Football Championship. The much-awaited final was disappointing from Nepal's point of view as the host Bangladesh emerged 3-0 victorious to lift the title. The title clash, played at Dhaka's Kamalapur Stadium, began on a scintillating note as both sides made dangerous moves. There were early exchanges as Amisha Karki failed to utilize the opportunity in the 30th minute, while Nepal's custodian Kavita Vishwakarma thwarted Bangladeshi strike made by Aklima Khatun. Amisha missed another opportunity in the 36th minute, while Bangladesh made full use of a defensive error on the part of Nepal in the 42nd minute as Shahida Akhtar put Bangladesh ahead. Moments later, Nepal's chance for equalizer went a-begging. There was more misery for Nepal considering the conceding of second goal in the first half injury time. The second goal for Bangladesh was scored by skipper Samsunahar Jr. Unnati Khatun sealed the 3-0 win for Bangladeshis in the 87th minute. Samsunahar Jr. won the award for the top goal scorer of the tournament with 5 goals, while she was also adjudged the most valuable player of the tournament. Rupma Chakma of Bangladesh was declared the best goalkeeper as well. The Cricket Association of Nepal, CAN, has announced the Nepali squad for the ICC World Cricket League 2 series against Namibia and Scotland. The 14-member squad includes Sandeep Lamechhane, who is alleged of raping a minor. Surya Thamang, an emerging 2020 talent, has been included in the senior squad for the first time. Meanwhile, Mausam Dhakal, another young talent who made his mark at the Prime Minister Cup one-day tournament, is among the probables. Sandeep Zora and Bhim Sharkey have returned to the squad. The team, led by skipper Rohit Paudel, also includes former captain Gyanendra Malla, Kushal Malla, Sumpal Kami and Asif Sheikh. Likewise, Kushal Vurtil, Dipendra Singh Airi, Gulshan Jha, Lalit Raj Manshi and Karan Casey have also made it to the final list. Meanwhile, Arjun Saud, Mausam Dhakal, Pratis GC and Arif Sheikh are also in the list of probable players. Team Nepal play the triangular series involving Scotland and Namibia at the Tribhuvan University Cricket Grounds in Kantipur from February 14. The Scotland team arrived in Nepal earlier today. Up next is the weather update. that is all for the moment. Up next is the news in Nepali. Thank you for staying with us. Goodbye for now.